Welcome, everyone, to another episode of the Health Made Simple Show. I'm your host, Dr. Bart, and today, an absolutely great topic. We're going to talk about the three root causes of why you're not getting the results that you're looking for when it comes to things like weight loss or even having energy. I'm also going to say that this episode will apply to really all of the things in your life, whether it be your health, your wealth, or relationships, anywhere you may not be getting the results that you're looking for. The secret formula that I'm going to unleash today, I'll call it that. The secret formula that I'm unleashed today will give you the answer of exactly why you may not be getting the results that you're looking for. All right, with that being said, thank you for being here. Thanks for joining us again here in Health Made Simple Show. And keep doing the thing, keep sharing out, keep spreading love. Listen, so many of you are doing it. You're liking us on different platforms. You're following us. That's going to have the biggest impact on the algorithms for us to reach more people. So if you follow us on Spotify or Apple, or especially on YouTube, if you follow us in those different areas, that's what gives us the biggest impact on having the ability to reach more people. So keep doing the thing, keep sharing out, keep spreading love. We appreciate you all. All right, with that being said, let's do a deep dive here on really understanding why and how, if you're not getting the results that you really want, whatever it may be, your health, your wealth, relationships. For this episode, we'll kind of dive into more in when it comes to weight loss and having energy. If you don't have the weight loss that you're looking for, if you don't have the energy that you're looking for, it's going to come down to these three things. So, all right, let's dive in here, and then we'll recap the whole thing at the end here. So we're going to start with this. Number one is the formula here is that we need a good strategy. And I know this makes sense, but if right now you're not getting your results, likelihood you don't have a strategy. What I'll say many times today is that often you know what to do. This isn't the problem. Often you know what to do. You know to eat better. You know to go to bed earlier. You know to stop putting crap in your body. Stop drinking as much alcohol as you do. Stop eating processed foods. You know these things. The challenge is they're not happening. And they're going to boil down to one of these three things. And if not, all three of them, quite frankly. So number one is this. It's strategy. Here's what I'm going to say about strategy. First thing you got to do is a little bit of a gut check here. We must know our weak links. We also must know our patterns, and we need to know our excuses. I'm going to give you personal examples. I've shared it many times here on the Health Made Simple podcast. So I'm a stress eater. And does that make me a bad guy, good guy? I have no idea, but I'm a stress eater. That's the way it is. Oftentimes, in fact, a lot of people say, Doc, you have such amazing discipline. I can't believe you're so disciplined with your food. Even my wife says it. I tell you what, I really don't. I don't have food discipline. In fact, I'd put myself in the opposite category. I have very little food discipline when it comes to making a decision about my food in the moment. So with that being said, I have to develop strategies. Many of you listening to this, I think the first part of this, of really getting a grip on this, is just recognizing, and don't judge yourself for it. Just recognize that you probably have some weaknesses when it comes to food decisions, making good food or proper food decisions. Mine is this. I'm a stress eater, and especially around sports. When my team is playing, I eat more, period. So I have to strategize on how I'm going to win those situations. I know when the game is. I know what time, know when I'm going to watch the games. Therefore, I have to plan in advance how to win that. First thing I do is make sure there's no crap in the house. If there's crap in the house, I don't have the discipline not to eat it. I know it might sound crazy. But Doc, wait a minute. You know what food to eat and not to eat. You shouldn't eat bad food, but I do. If the bad food is there under stress, there's a high likelihood I'm going to eat it. And that's really what I want to share with you guys today. Some of these things, these reasons we're not winning when it comes to weight loss, or winning when it comes to energy, they're right in front of us. But sometimes, for some reason, we fail to honor or recognize some of the truths about our own behavior. So one, know your weak links. What is your weak link? When is it that you derail? And it might be for many reasons. So the other two things I'm going to talk about today, about associations and accountability, it might be because you hang around with certain people and you immediately go south with your diet. And that's not their fault. That's on you. So let's back up here. Strategy wise, you need to know your surroundings, know what your weak links are. If you do that and you know your patterns, you know excuses, then we have to know exactly when do we start this thing. There's a reason that programs work. Meaning this, like you might join, we've done in the past a level up program. We've done carnivore programs. In January, we're going to do our cleanse program. The reason that so many of these work so well, they have a very specific starting point and a very specific ending point, and they have exact strategies, instructions, guidelines, rules. Like them or not, folks, they work better than not having them. So with that being said, number one is, do you have a strategy? If no excuse is applied, if you had a good strategy and you put your strategy into play, you played your best play, would it be good for you? So now you just got to ask yourself, do I even have a strategy? So that's number one. So one of the reasons that a lot of people do not achieve the goals that they want, hey, man, doc, I want to be thinner. I want to have more energy. Do you have a strategy? No, doc, I don't really have anything. I'm just out here winging it. Okay, perfect. Let's create a strategy. That's number one. Number two is this. This is associations that you have. This is a tough one, but nonetheless, this is incredibly important to kind of sit back and to digest for a moment. Our associations, literally the people that we're hanging around with. Who is that? That's our family. Those are our friends. Those are our coworkers. You've heard it 1,000 times before. The 5 people that you associate the most with, those are going to do a couple things. They're going to mimic the kind of results that you have, and they also predict your future. I'll say that again. The people that you associate with the most, take a look at them, and that is your future, folks. In the event that you're looking at these people and they are fit and they're exercising regularly, they have good food disciplines, they have strategies and they're unfolding these, they have food disciplines, they have certain disciplines when it comes to their wealth and their health and their relationships, beautiful. And you aspire to be them. If you're the best of that group, that's a bummer. And I say that from a real perspective. I say that from, hey, listen, we have to allow ourselves to level up, not down. So take a look at those coworkers, the people you surround yourself with the most. They're going to be your collective mindset. They're going to be your collective decision making. Let's get specific here. In the event that you're hanging out with your friends, how do they behave when there's an event, whether it be a sporting event or a birthday? Is the go-to thing always going to be alcohol? And listen, if you have health goals, it's probably one of the things that's not going to serve you. Is the go-to thing on a birthday that is just an acceptable behavior, that you eat a lot of cake or whatever it may be, that you are constantly going to be persuaded by your environment? If that's your associations, then yes, you're probably going to fall short of some of the goals that you want. And this is not in judgment. This is really about having answered the question of really what is it that you want. And if you're saying, I want to lose a couple pounds, I want to become a little more fit, I want to get a little stronger, I want to move a little bit better, I want to move with a little bit more ease, I want to have a little bit more energy in my life, I want to have some more clarity, I want to have energy so I can spend more time with my children, I want to have energy so I can start that business that I've always been looking forward to do, I want to have energy so I can thrive in my current job or do a little bit better as an entrepreneur. If any of those are goals, we have to allow ourselves to start to look at what do we currently do? What is our strategy? And then also who are our associations? Because the people around us are either going to level us up, hold us back, or maybe even worse, just keep us exactly where we're at. So with that being said, number 2 here is associations. Number 1 was strategy. We have to have a good strategy in play. When does it start? When does it stop? Right? Is there a timeout that we have? We say, okay, I've got to this point. We got to measure this. We have to look and kind of look at the big picture here. What were the outcomes that we have, and should we do anything different? The last one is, I think, is probably the single most important one, especially for all of you out there that are entrepreneurs, your business owners, your moms. You're busy. You've got a lot going on. You have good knowledge. You have a lot of information when it comes to probably the foods that you put in your body. You probably have a lot of information about what exercises you should do or could do that would benefit you. You know what time to go to bed. You understand a little bit about circadian rhythm. You have a lot of this knowledge, and yet for some reason, you're still not taking the actions. So number 3, and I think for many of us that are in that category, the knowledge base is there. I think the most important one is a lack of accountability. And that is the third kind of secret or the formula. If we're trying to make change, most likely you need accountability. What do I mean by this specifically? Really what I mean by this is this. There's a chance that many of you listening to this do not have an individual in your life that can hold you accountable for 2 very important things. 1, your day-to-day actions when it comes to your health, your wealth, and your relationships. Who holds you accountable? Who's checking to see? if you're doing the extra push-ups, if you're getting to bed on time, getting up early, who's holding you accountable, making sure you're drinking enough water, eating clean foods, getting the amount of protein you're supposed to, taking the proper supplements? Who's doing all that for you? Who's holding you accountable? If it's left to you, here's the challenge. Most of us have our weaknesses. We have weak links. We have our paradigms. We have our patterns. We have our excuses built in. So we need some level of accountability. And without that accountability, there's going to be this invisible ceiling that we just keep smashing our brains into, smashing our heads into. I've seen this many times in my own personal career on many levels, whether it be, if we were to talk business for a moment, if I was to look at our businesses, every time we get one of our businesses and we scale it up to what would be a very good spot, yet we stay at that spot, what is usually the missing link? It's usually the lack of accountability, usually a lack of a coach or a mentor in that moment that helps us see to the next part, to the next ceiling, to the next breakthrough. Most likely, if right now you're having something to do with your health, your wealth, your relationships that's holding you, that you're kind of stagnant and you're not getting the results that you're really looking for, most likely there's no one there to hold you accountable. So let's discuss, what does that really look like? There's a couple different ways that the accountability can show up in our life. Think of a coach. Football coach is the coach of the team, and if you either catch a pass or you don't, and that coach will hold you accountable, as will your teammates, quite frankly. And again, that goes back to our associations. Do you want your associations to be leveling you up? Absolutely. To expect the best from you, to be leading the way, and also expect you to lead the way for them? Absolutely. Your children, quite frankly, they don't know it, but you should know this, that they are relying on you to lead the way through the best actions that you possibly can, even though those actions often are going to be inconvenient. They're often going to be uncomfortable and sometimes even unfamiliar. But your words are almost meaningless relative to the power of your actions. So when it comes to our accountability, some level of having a coach, whether you have a fitness coach, you have a health coach, you have a functional medicine doctor or coach. Hey, listen, you're a doctor. For many, I'm their coach. Of course, I have, my patients, and to some degree, you consider that coaching. I have consults that we do. We have a concierge program that people that literally want me to be their coach. They're one that oversees everything for them. I provide that service. And many great people out there do that as well. If that is what you need, it's going to be outside of your comfort to go get that coach. But that will be when things change for you. Because I know for every single one of us that's an entrepreneur, that's healthy, that is moving in the direction they want to be moving themselves in when it comes to their health, their wealth, relationships, one or all of the above, almost always, if not 99% of the time, there's some level of mentorship, some type of coaching taking place. So that could look like having a coach, a doctor, heck, on a little bit lower level, but very important, your accountability could be your labs that you run every year or every quarter. If you have that evidence, that data directly in front of you of exactly the actions you've taken have given you these results, and they are very measurable, that can be accountability. For some of you, if you don't run labs, that might be where you start. Could you do other things? Sure. You could even use things like a wearable, meaning something like an Oura ring or an Apple Watch, to give you pure data. And listen, you didn't go to bed last night on time. You didn't get enough deep sleep. You didn't get enough REM. You didn't get enough steps in yesterday. The one challenge that happens with that, and I'll see this all the time, and it's kind of funny, that you'll get that data, you'll get the ring, you'll get the watch, you'll get the Whoop, whatever it may be, and be like, yeah, every morning I wake up, it tells me I didn't sleep good, and you do nothing about it. That's the one difference between the human and the wearable, is that the human coach will be like, all right, well, did you change anything? And that a good coach or a good mentor will do that for you. So, well, what have you changed in order to create a different outcome, a different result? So if you're looking for ways to level it up, here's the way it works. 3 things are going to have to happen. If you're stumbling, you're not quite where you want to be, maybe you're not even getting off the ground and you're having a hard time and you're kind of frozen in the inaction spot where you just don't know what to do first. To some degree, you're going to need a strategy. You're going to need an association of people in your life that are going to help find and see the best in you. I'm going to tell you, this can get a little uncomfortable at times because there's a a very strong likelihood that some of the people that you associate with right now in your life, that when you become the best version of yourself, they don't fit the same way they do right now in your life. Meaning that it may be time to move ahead or move forward, move beyond that relationship. And listen, it's okay. We all grow. We all grow at different levels and different heights and different speeds, and it's perfectly okay. Doesn't mean you don't love them anymore. Doesn't mean that you don't care for them. But there is a real thing when it comes to if we continue to associate with people that do not level us up always. I'm not just talking about loving on us. I mean leveling us up, holding us to the capabilities of who we can become. Remember, we have unlimited potential. The power that made our body heals the body. And if we tap into that power, we tap into this unlimited capacity to be an amazing human being, and really, really good things are going to happen. To do so, we're going to have to look around. We're going to have to look at our associations. Do we have the people around us in our lives that support us to be the absolute best version of ourselves? So those are some gut checks that we're going to have to do. Last but not least is the accountability. I can't emphasize this enough. At some point, if you haven't already, you're going to want to get a coach or a mentor. You're going to want to get someone that holds you accountable. And that person often is going to be who you're associating with frequently. That person often is going to be the one helping you strategize. Remember, that's what a coach does. Helps you create the good strategies. So frankly, you don't have to think about it all. You don't have to be the one figuring out every single meal, figuring out every single workout, etc. So that is why there's such a value, and you see more and more personal coaches out there. I don't know, life coaches, doctors, mentors, functional medicine docs, all of these different people working in these roles to help people like you and I level ourselves up. And again, do I provide these services? Absolutely. Are there other great men and women out there? Absolutely. If you want to work with me, love to have you. Reach out. We'll make sure there's a contact below. Now we also have another team member here. So if for some reason my schedule is too busy and I'm not available for you, we have another new new nutritionist that's working with us. She'd be happy to help you as well. So there are resources for you to do. The biggest challenge is taking that first step, getting a little momentum going. Here's what I know about coaching and whatnot over the years. I've always had to stretch myself out of my comfort zone. And usually it was financially, frankly. It wasn't about whether or not I'd do the work. I've always looked forward to doing that work. Yet oftentimes the thought or the idea of spending money on a coach, it seemed kind of weird to me until I started to do it. And when I started to see the results and the outcomes that I would get in such a shorter period of time than maybe if I did them on my own, then I realized why so many successful people always talk about having a coach, having a mentor, reading the books, going to the seminars. They always talk about leveling themselves up in the terms of having some type of accountability. So with that being said, if we can help you out, love to have you. There'll be a link below if you'd like to work with me one-on-one. We can run labs. I can point in a direction. I can help strategize for you. I can absolutely help you create an environment in which you'll be held accountable to become the best version of yourself. All right, folks. Well, once again, thank you for listening in here at the Health Made Simple show. And as usual, continue to take deliberate action for your mind, your body, overall wellness. You'll be awesome.